Do you remember the personal challenge that I took on last time? Of course you do. I challenged myself to discover what is the best flavor of ice cream in the whole world. And even though I still have more than 1,000 flavors to try, I think I got off to a pretty good start. See, last time I decided to go with the research. So I looked up to find out what was the most popular flavor of ice cream in the whole world, and I found out it's vanilla. And so that's what I tried last time. And it worked pretty well. It was good, but I decided to try a different approach this week. Instead of researching to find out what's the most popular, instead, I'm going to try what I feel like trying. I'm just going to go with what sounds good to me, what I feel like doing. And so because of that, I'm going to try a flavor of ice cream that I love, and that is coffee ice cream. I'm back in my laboratory for experiment number 2. I'm going to try the second flavor of ice cream, this delicious coffee ice cream, to see if it is the best flavor of ice cream in the world. That is good. In fact, I'm ready right now to say that coffee ice cream is better than vanilla ice cream. In fact, it's so good, I need to take another bite. That is really, really good. In fact, it might be the best flavor of ice cream in the whole world. But maybe not. It is really good. I'm definitely going to eat some more. But I can't help but thinking that maybe there's a flavor out there that's even better. I really like this, but I'm not sure if it's the perfect flavor. There might be a better one out there. I've got to keep looking. You know, thinking about looking reminds me of that story we talked about last time. I tried one flavor of ice cream because it was the most popular, and I tried another one because I really felt like doing it. And that reminds me about the book of Ecclesiastes. Last week, we looked at some verses in the book of Ecclesiastes. And we talked about the fact that Ecclesiastes was written by King Solomon. And King Solomon was the king of Israel. And as the king, he had lots of power, he had lots of money, he was in charge of the country. But he went looking for something. Solomon wanted to find something that would give him meaning in life, something that could really satisfy him and make him happy. And so last time we talked about the fact that one of the things Solomon thought might make him happy was knowledge. And so he went out to try to learn and figure out all that he possibly could, trying to become the smartest man in the world, trying to know all the things that people can know. And he learned a lot, but he didn't find meaning or happiness in that knowledge. It couldn't satisfy him. Well, tonight we're going to look at some verses in Ecclesiastes chapter 2. And there Solomon tells us about something else he tried to see if it would satisfy him. He says in Ecclesiastes 2, verse 1, I said in mine heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth, therefore enjoy pleasure. So Solomon thought, well, if being really well educated and really smart isn't going to make me happy, maybe I can become happy by just trying to have lots of fun. We don't use the word mirth a lot, but that has to do with happiness and laughter and enjoying things. And so Solomon thought, well, maybe I'll find meaning, maybe I'll find fulfillment in just doing whatever I want, doing things that sound fun. And so Solomon tried lots of things that he thought would be fun and he thought might give him meaning because they'd make him happy. But did it? Well, I didn't read all of that verse. So I'm going to read it again, Ecclesiastes 2:1, and I'll read the end of the verse 2 this time. The Bible says, I said in mine heart, go to now, I will prove thee with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure, and behold, this also is vanity. The word vanity means emptiness. So Solomon went out and had lots of fun. He tried to do things that would make him happy, things that would make him laugh, things that sounded fun, things that he felt like doing. And he did lots of different things, but None of them really truly made him happy. He enjoyed them for a little while, but none of them could fulfill him. None of them could give him meaning in his life. They were empty. Verse 3 tells us that he tried alcohol. He said, I sought in mine heart to give myself unto wine. You know, it's sad, but there are a lot of people in the world that think they can find happiness in things that God warns us against. They think that they can do the things that God says are a bad idea, but that those things will make them happy, that those things will give them meaning and give them a good life. You know, the Bible tells us a story about a man like that. I'm sure you've probably heard of Samson. And the book of Judges tells us about Samson, and it says that he was special even before he was born. See, God talked to his parents, and he told Samson's parents that Samson was going to be a special man, and that God had a special plan for him. But God also said there were going to be some special rules for Samson to follow. One of those rules that you've probably heard of is that Samson wasn't allowed to cut his hair. God said he's not supposed to cut his hair. Now, that's an unusual rule. Some of the other rules weren't as unusual. God said that he shouldn't drink alcohol, and God said that he shouldn't eat anything that was unclean. Well, Samson's parents were really careful to follow the rules that God gave, but as Samson got older, he decided he wanted to live life his own way. He wanted to do the things that sounded good to him. You know, the Bible tells us that there came a time when Samson wanted to get married. And he found a woman that he wanted to marry in the city of Timnath. But there was a problem because the city of Timnath was a Philistine city. And the Philistines were not people who believed in and worshipped God. They were people who believed in and worshipped false gods. And Samson went down to Timnath and saw a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. And he came up and told his father and his mother and said, I have seen a woman in Timnath of the daughters of the Philistines. Now therefore get her for me to wife. Then his father and his mother said unto him, Is there never a woman among the daughters of thy brethren, or among all my people, that thou goest to take a wife of the uncircumcised Philistines? Samson's parents realized that it was a bad idea. It was wrong for him to marry someone who didn't believe in the true God. Someone who didn't follow God and didn't care what God said. But did Samson listen to his parents? Did he do the right thing? No. The Bible says that this is what Samson said to his parents. And Samson said unto his father, Get her for me, for she pleaseth me well. In other words, Samson said, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. I don't care what God says. I don't care what my parents say. I don't care what the right thing is. I'm going to do what I feel like because that's how I'll be happy. Well, later on, Samson, remember he was super strong, he came upon a lion and he killed the lion with his bare hands. Can you imagine that? Being so strong that you could kill a lion? Well, that happened and Samson went along his way, and then later on he came back by and he saw something very unusual. He turned aside to see the carcass of the lion, and behold, there was a swarm of bees and honey in the carcass of the lion. Now, I don't know about you, but if I saw honey that was inside a dead lion, I wouldn't want to eat it. But Samson did. He took some of that honey and he ate it. Now, that might seem gross, but it might not seem like a big deal. But do you remember what one of the rules was for Samson to follow that God gave him? Samson was supposed to not eat anything that was unclean. And according to the laws that the Jewish people had, something that had been around something dead like that was unclean. So Samson was disobeying the instructions that God had given for him to follow. Now, Samson gave some of that honey to his parents, but he didn't tell them about it. He didn't want them to know that he was disobeying God. And he thought it's not a big deal. But even though Samson's parents didn't know, it was a big deal. Samson was doing what he wanted to do, and he didn't care what God had to say. You know, there are a lot of people that live their lives that way. They live based on what feels good to them, or what they think will make them happy, instead of following what God has said. But did Samson end up living a happy and fulfilled life? No, he didn't. You can read the rest of the story and see that Samson's life ended in a very sad way. And he gave up his life because he wasn't doing things God's way. You know, I love Christmas. Christmas is just such a special day. I get to have special food. I get to be around my family and enjoy that time with them. I get to open presents and watch other people open the presents that I got for them. And it's just such a nice day. I love to enjoy it. And sometimes I think life would be perfect if every day was Christmas. Have you ever thought something like that before? Do you think that if every day was Christmas, you would be happy all the time? Well, no. See, we could have the best day and enjoy lots of things every day, but that wouldn't mean that we had a happy life. That wouldn't mean that we're satisfied or that we're fulfilled. Samson tried to live a life that was full of pleasure, full of things that he liked and that he wanted, and it didn't satisfy him. It didn't give him a fulfilled life. And you and I could try to live lives that we fill up with all the things that we love and that are fun and that we enjoy doing, but it wouldn't mean that we had a fulfilled life. It wouldn't mean that we were truly happy. See, pleasure and fun can't satisfy us. And if we try to be satisfied with those things, we'll find out, like Solomon did, that really they're empty. Now, do you remember what Jesus said in Matthew chapter 6? He said, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal, but lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven." Doing what you want isn't going to make you a happy person or give you a full life. Solomon tried it, and he found out it was empty. Samson tried it, and he found out that it was empty. Only living life God's way is truly going to make us fulfilled and truly happy. So, knowledge and education can't satisfy us. They can't give our lives meaning. And neither can fun and pleasure. Join me next week as we continue with Solomon and look at what he tried to see if it would fulfill him and give him a satisfactory and happy life. And also, join me as I continue my search for the world's best flavor of ice cream. The quest continues.